You are a useless man. I cannot depend on you for safety. He literally left his wife to protect herself, his 5-year-old niece, and his infant nephew to be really, really harmed or even killed. Today, we are going to be diving into relationship stories on Reddit. I will be giving relationship advice to Reddit posts where users post a relationship situation and then ask for advice. So let's jump into it. I turned and kicked it with all the force I could manage. I was lucky enough to hit it in the jaw somewhere that made its jaw dislodge. My husband, who had been a few feet away, started shouting. I yelled at him to go get the bear spray from our house. My husband ran, but not towards the house. He literally ran out of the fence gate and shut it behind him, not towards his niece or nephew, who was also present in an outdoor bassinet. So that means his nephew is a baby. I managed to do all but toss the picnic table to make sure it was out of the dog's reach while holding his niece over my shoulder. I put her on the barbecue to keep her out of reach, but the dog was literally jumping and snapping. It chased me when I ran with his niece in my hand. Then I swung at it and I swung until it stopped. I didn't even realize it had bit me twice. My husband only came back a few minutes later to pack us up into the car and drive us to the hospital. I haven't spoken to my husband for a full week, even though we live in the same house. He's getting angry that I'm giving him the silent treatment, but I feel like it's his fault that I had to possibly end that animal. If he had gotten the bear spray, then I don't think I would have needed to do that. It was literally just inside the door. He knows where I keep it. Literally took off to go God knows where. Me and 2 children that I'm not even related to could have died. I'm not sure I can even look at him. Any attraction I had to him is pretty much gone. I wasn't expecting him to be macho and fist fight the freaking dog, but at least follow instruction. At least not leave me in a life or death situation with a toddler and an infant. I don't even know if I want to hear him out. Let's summarize this. So this woman was in her backyard with her husband and her husband's toddler niece and infant nephew. The dog breaks into their backyard somehow and attacks her husband's niece. So this woman tries to protect the child herself, and her husband runs. Her husband leaves. She thinks he's going to get the bear spray. She tells him, she gives him. So even though this woman is literally in a life or death situation right now, she's fighting off this dog, she still manages to give her husband instruction to go get the bear spray so he can come back and help to fend off this rabid dog. Instead, he leaves her to fight off this dog and to protect herself and these 2 children, and he closes the gate. She's very upset with him. She says she's lost all attraction to him, and she's wondering if this is grounds for divorce. First of all, kudos to this woman. Because while it's nice to think if everyone is in a situation where they see a child being attacked, that they would act, unfortunately in today's world, that's just not always the case. So kudos to this woman for acting, for protecting these children and herself. So first of all, kudos there. Even more kudos to the fact that while she is literally in a life or death situation, she is still managing to tell her husband, who is standing there, to go get the bear spray so that they can get some sort of weapon to defend themselves. So kudos to her because that takes a lot. When we're in threatening situations like that, our bodies naturally go into fight or flight mode, which is basically how we react to stressful situations. Those responses look so different for so many people because some people just freeze. Some people are so overwhelmed with panic and stress that they just freeze. Some people act. And this woman, in this case, her stress response is to act. Obviously, her husband's response is to flee. He chose to flight. He chose to flee. Most of us have a default when it comes to how we respond to stressful situations. These fight or flight responses come from childhood, from how we learned to deal with stressful situations, what was encouraged for us to do, what we were punished for doing, all of those things. So I'm giving some, I can't even say grace, to be honest with you. I'm not giving grace. I'm taking into consideration that that might be his natural default response. However, your default response does not have to be your permanent response. You can train your default response to be different. She mentions in the post too that she wasn't even expecting him to be a macho man and defend her from this dog. But from where I'm concerned now, he is useless. This man is a useless man. He's a useless man because, okay, so benefit of the doubt, we're not expecting him to come back and fight the dog because we have no idea. You know, that could have been a very, very triggering situation for him. He could have been attacked by, like, there's a lot that goes into why he responded that way, right? So let's say, okay, we're not expecting him to defend his nephew, his niece, and his wife from this dog. Not what I would accept. However, let's just, for the sake of this, let's just consider that, right? So we're not expecting him to fight this dog, but at the very least, if you can't be physically useful, if you can't be useful in terms of protection, at least be able to follow instructions. At least be able to go get the bear spray. He couldn't do that. He literally left his wife to protect herself, his 5-year-old niece, and his infant nephew to potentially be really, really harmed or even killed by this dog. You are a useless man. Because if I can't depend on you to help me to defend two other family members of yours who are children, what can I depend? What if we're ever in a situation if I need you to stand up for me, if we are ever, God forbid, and we get robbed or something, I know that situation has now told me that I'm going to be on my own. At least within my marriage, not all of our gender roles are traditional. We have picked and chosen the ones that have worked for us. However, when it comes to the protector, I firmly believe that the man should be the protector. That doesn't always mean in a physical sense, right? He has to be resourceful enough to figure out how he can protect you all in a situation where you need to be protected. This man is not a protector. He didn't even go into the house and throw the bear spray to her and then leave. He just left her high and dry. That is completely unacceptable. This is a useless man. And if I were her, I would never be able to feel safe around him. I would never be able to really look at him like a man. I think I would lose, and as the poster mentioned this in her post, I would lose all attraction for him. I would lose, everything would just be completely just dead. I don't think I would ever feel attracted to him again. I think the relationship would be over. And I think it sounds like that's the case for this poster. And eventually the relationship is going to die. You have to look at what are the core qualities that you are looking for in someone. What are some of the core needs that you have? For a lot of women, it is our core need to feel like we're protected. I 100% know that's a core need for me. And I always knew the man that I ended up with would have to be a protector. That doesn't mean he has to be the biggest, most macho man wanting to fight everybody, but he has to be a protector in the sense that I knew that I wanted to be with someone who would do whatever it takes to make sure that I am protected. And that's just what I need. That's what a lot of women need. And it sounds like this poster needs that. This poster on Reddit needs that. He has proven himself to not be that. I would not recommend that she work this out. She is just delaying the inevitable. This one for me would be simple, and this would be an end it. Let's jump into the next one. My boyfriend doesn't prefer my body type. I'm a 23-year-old woman and I'm thinking of potentially breaking up with my boyfriend, a 26-year-old man of 2 years. When we started dating, I knew I wasn't his type because I went through his Instagram to look for a meme. On his For You page, I saw very curvy women with large breasts. I was a bit hurt because I'm very skinny. I asked if that's what he likes, and he said yes, but I just forgot about it because it isn't my business. But somehow I'm always reminded how he prefers thicker women, and it's making me feel like he's settled. A few things that have happened since then. One time we watched a movie and the protagonist was skinny like me, and I heard him say, "I don't know how anyone could find that attractive." Mind you, I'm barely heavier than her. Men are stupid, so I don't think he thought really about what he said. He'd mentioned how thick women are for the preference for most men. Still a trigger for me because I know he's talking about himself too. His ex has the exact body type that he prefers. Apart from this, he's a perfect boyfriend, but I find it hard not to take this personally. I just feel like I deserve a man who finds my body type attractive even if I'm not his type. I don't want to be reminded constantly of his preference, etc. Let me know if I'm overreacting. I've been with him for 2 years, so I'm kind of in too deep. What do you think is the best thing to do? So to summarize, 23-year-old woman is with a 25-year-old man who sounds like he makes it very clear that he prefers a certain type of woman, in this case a curvier woman. The original poster is a thin, petite woman. She's feeling insecure because she is not her boyfriend's type and she feels like he's settled. So even if you are extremely confident, obsessed with yourself, it's very hard not to still be impacted if you feel like you are not what your partner wants. So her feelings are normal. It's just a matter of how much do you let it impact you in the relationship, for one. And also, two, what is your partner doing to make you feel secure? In this post, I didn't hear her mention anything about what her boyfriend is doing to make her feel secure. I also didn't hear her mention anything about her telling him how she feels. It seems like she's waiting for validation, but she's giving him these tests that he's constantly failing. If you don't bring these things up with your partner, you are dooming yourself to feel insecure and less than pretty much throughout the duration of your relationship. Because what the brain typically does, especially women are very good at this, very masterful at this, we will throw out tests just to see how a man is going to respond. And if he's not thinking, if he doesn't know that you're feeling insecure, that you're saying this so that you can be validated about how women with smaller body types are attractive, if he doesn't know that, he's just going to answer. He's just going to answer honestly. And if he doesn't think this woman is attractive, then he's going to say that. You're going to see, okay, so he's telling me that women with my body type are not attractive. And you're going to constantly do that more and more and more. And even if you are the most confident person, after your man failing enough of those tests, it's only natural that that is going to impact your self-esteem. That is only natural. So you have to be able to have those conversations with your partner. Your partner has to be creating a space for you to feel comfortable and vulnerable enough to share those types of things with them. So my final verdict, granted that I have some outline questions about this scenario, I'm going to go with work it out only if, only assuming that the poster has not had this conversation with her boyfriend about how she feels. Because if she hasn't had the conversation, I would suggest that she do have the conversation with him, see how he responds, and give him some time to adjust his behavior so that he's making less comments, he's complimenting her more, he's making her feel more secure in the relationship, and see if the relationship can be salvaged. If she has already had this conversation with him and he's still making the same types of comments and he hasn't changed, then in that case, my verdict would be to end it. If she's brought this up to him and he has not changed yet, it's unlikely that he will change and her self-esteem is going to be destroyed. If this was an early relationship and they hadn't been together very long, honestly, my verdict would be just to end it, because there's no point in getting into this rabbit hole with someone who you truly don't think is attracted to you. I've been in that situation before, and it was someone who we were just kind of like casually dating, but some of the comments that he would be making about women in general and like his type, I was like, that's not me at all. Like what are we doing? So I ended that situation. And sure, it could have been ended prematurely, who knows? But I was not trying to be in a situation where I did not feel wanted. One of the core needs in a relationship is to feel wanted by your partner. And I knew I was not going to feel wanted in a relationship where I truly did not feel like I was this person's type. So if they had been together for a shorter period of time, they've been together for 2 years, my verdict would be to end it and move on and find someone who you feel like is attracted to your body type. Key takeaways from today's video: figure out what your core needs are and make sure the person that you're with is willing and able to fulfill them. If they're not, you really have to reevaluate whether this is someone that you want to stay with. Have you dealt with anything similar with either of our situations? Let's chat in the comments. I want to know what you think. Also, tell me what you would have done in these situations. Tell me if you would leave it or work it out for each of the situations. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll talk soon.